All right, and I will apologize because this will take just a little over 3 minutes, but I did drive in from Cleveland, so.
Okay, you've got 3.
All right. So Chairman, Vice Chair, Ranking Member, and members of the committee. Today I would like to thank you for speaking the opportunity to speak in opposition to House Bill 160 and all other related bills that undermine Issue 2. Issue 2, which Ohio voters overwhelmingly passed to legalize cannabis. The people spoke very loudly. My name is Rodney Hash, but most people know me as the educator Rodney Hash. I've worked across every part of the cannabis industry, legal and illegal, through the cultivation, through extraction, all the way to retail. And I now help lead the Ohio Cannabis Consumer Coalition, and as such, I represent voters from both sides of the aisle across the state. We ask for progress, not more prohibition. This is not a partisan issue. It should not be. Issue 2 was a strong compromise for decriminalization, jobs, and social equity. Bills like House Bill 160 roll back our rights, protect monopolistic interests, and hurt the vulnerable, our elderly, our farmers, and our communities. Why are you trying to rewrite the will of the people? First, these bills harm elderly and medical patients. By limiting licensing and allowing overpriced, nearly expired medical products to then be sold as recreational use products, you drive up costs. The old lady on Social Security that has knee pain cannot afford to drive to the Michigan market, nor can she afford to drive to the dispensary here in Ohio. Because if she was to buy something, she could only buy enough for a couple of days, and that wouldn't get her by through the month, and we know it. A caregiver program and open licensing process would allow for lower prices and help patients, not the black market, as some say. Second, these bills hurt farmers. Hemp is already a regulated crop in the state of Ohio. It would create jobs and it could potentially clean up areas like East Palestine. We use it to clean up nuclear waste sites. Why couldn't we use it to clean up East Palestine? Bless you. Instead, you're stifling innovation with vague laws that confuse safe THCA hemp with synthetic cannabinoids like the one Representative Callender brought up, which I would love to talk more on. Bless you. If you're truly concerned about the kids, you would implement an age restriction, just like we do alcohol and tobacco. But instead, we're trying to ban it altogether. Now, I don't agree with the synthetic cannabinoids, but safe THCA flower should be sold. We have Appalachian grows in the state of Ohio. There's plenty of people that are legal operators. Third, do you guys think Ohio voters are stupid? Because the senator from my district, Jerry Serino, implied as much on April 17th when he outright said it. Ohio voters read and supported Issue 2 as it was written. By the way, no experts, if you guys are truly consulting them, would ever measure cannabis by the joint. Us experts measure it by, in the legal industry, because of square footage, we measure by grams per square foot, or we measure grams per ounces, or grams per plant, if we're talking the home growing version of it. Finally, why would you block economic growth and social equity? Social equity is not the same thing as DEI politics. I get that. But social equity's funds sit unused when they could be used to expunge records. They could be used to create jobs. They could be used to support local libraries and school districts that are currently facing monies being cut from them. We could be helping the communities and the children, but instead we're just sitting here making it illegal again, making it a crime for me to be able to share a joint with this man right here. It shouldn't be. That's not what the community agreed upon. I'm tired of being labeled a criminal. Voters demand new licenses, farmer-friendly rules, an end to prohibition. The federal government just pardoned Ross Ulbricht, the guy who created the Silk Road, but yet Ohio's sitting here threatening to prosecute someone for passing a joint? I would like to open up the floor to, first off, thank every single one of you who has been asking questions on this. It is really important to all of us. I would also like to extend the hand and thank to all of those representatives who have also, we've been reaching out. This gentleman right here has been reaching out to every single representative across the state, and we have gotten a handful of you guys who have been asking questions and wanting to work with us, and I truly do appreciate that. If you guys have any more questions, again, I represent the Ohio Cannabis Consumer Coalition, and we're open to any and all feedback.
Thank you for your testimony. Are there any questions for the witness? Representative Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Hennessy, for your testimony. I think your testimony can be boiled down to 3 main things: decriminalization, jobs, social equity. I think you said it perfectly. Thank you for your testimony. I'll reiterate again that I will be at the town hall. I'm hoping more and more members of this committee will be there as well. Thank you.
Representative Sonnenberg with a question.
Yes, Mr. Hennessy, thanks for your time and for coming in today and making the trip down from Cleveland. Just from a brief, like scientifically standpoint, you said hash, sorry, hemp could clean, that's your nickname, sorry. How does growing hemp clean up like an area that's like East Palestine that has contamination?
So we know a lot of the issue with East Palestine is the chemicals that are in the ground. As I elaborated on a little bit before, we actually use cannabis or hemp, which is the same plant, by the way. We use that to clean up nuclear waste sites because it's so beneficial at pulling up all those other micro contaminants in the soil, which is also why I will say certain testing does matter. Things like contaminants could be coming up from the ground, could be in the plant, but that's why we use that as industrial hemp rather than using it as something we could sell to the public.
Follow-up?
Yes, follow-up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would you agree that issue 2 as passed, well, although the will of the voters, still there are aspects of it that could be cleaned up and changed by this body? And are there, I mean, I'll leave it at that.
I would agree that there could be compromises, but I think issue 2 as it stands is a good bill. I think issue 2 as it stands, when you start looking at it in comparison to other states that have both adult use, recreational, which for some reason in the regulations that we have currently, that's not allowed to be said in the dispensary. You have to say adult use, not recreational. I think there's compromises that could be made, but generally speaking, I think that issue 2 is pretty middle of the road for most states that have both recreational and medical.
Follow-up?
One follow-up, yes. On hemp, though, you do agree, I think, according to your testimony, that the synthetic
Yes.
is something that should be regulated by the state.
So I would argue synthetic, along with certain remediation processes within the legal market, should be addressed. And that's where I feel like we should be going in with experts, education, and a scalpel rather than a guy with a lumberjack and a chainsaw and just nuking it all. We should be going in and, like, for example, the HHC molecule, I don't really think that's great. Delta 8 and Delta 10, I don't think those are great. But I also think, like, CRC remediation forms are not great, and that's legal. But that's something because of the fact that there's a lack of education across the legislature and the ruling body that rather than consulting with experts like those of us at the Coalition, Appalachian Girls, we've got the Cannabis Museum here in Athens, Ohio. But none of these guys get reached out to by the DCC or the Board of Pharmacy or anyone, really.
Okay. Thank you again. Thank you.
Any other questions for the witness? Seeing none, we thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.